Hello and welcome to the session about smartfulness, the art of living mindfully with your phone. This beautiful, wonderful piece of technology. Boy, has it changed our lives. Many people cannot even recall how we managed without them. Since the introduction of these devices, our society has been transformed. But these devices also have the tendency to have an effect on us. Many people find that the use of the smartphone is not contributing to their well-being. They found that it's too much. That although it's a wonderful thing that helps us do all kinds of stuff that are essential to our maintaining a normal daily life. We can navigate, find the weather, contact people, do all kinds of stuff that will typically take us a lot of time to do otherwise in different ways. So it is indispensable and a wonderful piece of technology. But if we use it in the wrong way, it will harm our well-being instead of contribute to our well-being. So this session is all about how to live happily with your phone in a way that is beneficial to you, that contributes to you. So in the end of this session, I will give some practical tips on what I call smartfulness, the art of living mindfully with your phone. But before we do that, let's first discuss the nature of our relationship with this thing. And I will begin with a personal anecdote. Some years ago, I used to go to a cafe. And this cafe, like all the other people, I was sitting there with my phone, reading the news, all kind of newspapers online, and drinking my coffee. And there used to be another guy. And this guy always had a normal paper, newspaper, and sit to read it. And he always used to comment to me, "Look, what you're doing with this phone, always with your nose in the phone. Why are you doing this? Come on, get out of it." Well, at that time, I honestly did not understand what he was on about. I told him, "Look, you are sitting there reading your newspaper, and I'm sitting here reading my newspaper. We are doing exactly the same thing. Only we are using different mediums. You are using pen, printed paper, and I'm using electronic device. So, what is the difference?" Boy, was I wrong. To understand why, let's look at what happens to us. And what is the diff when we are engaged with the phones? And what is the difference between reading a newspaper on your phone and reading the same newspaper in a printed form? The difference is the following. Reading the paper in printed form is an activity that has a clear beginning and an end. You pick up the paper, you go through the pages, and when we are finished, you have nothing to do but to put it down. It's a very clear, well-defined activity. You can of course read the paper again, but few people will do that. They will simply put it down after they are finished with it. In contrast, the phone never ends. As soon as we are finished with something, there are always endless possibilities. It's like a newspaper that never ends. It has no bounds. We can spend days and days and days swiping, surfing, jumping from one article to another, and in the end of any article there are all kinds of suggestions that are custom made to entice us into clicking on the next article. It never ends. That is a gigantic difference. But that's not the only difference. Another very big difference is that your level of situational awareness is dramatically impaired when you use the phone compared to other things. These technologies had such a profound impact on us because they somehow make use of some vulnerability that we have in our head, that we get immediately sucked into the phone. We always pick the phone up for a reason. There is always a reason. One moment you do not have a phone in your hand, and the other moment the phone is in your hand. There must be a reason for that. So we always pick up the phone for a reason and engage it for a reason, which is often a valid reason. But as soon as we are finished with it, we don't put it down. We compulsively continue to search for other things. Maybe we pick up the phone to check the weather tomorrow. As soon as we have checked the weather, we immediately go to check WhatsApp and Facebook and LinkedIn and the mail and Instagram and Twitter and all kind of other stuff, according to our favorite phone activities. It's simply that there is a vulnerability between us, that we get sucked into it in a compulsive way. It is, by the way, exactly the same thing as we get sucked into the thoughts in our head. Also, the thoughts in our head has a compulsive effect on us. They appear and we get sucked into them. We compulsively follow them. The same compulsion, but to a lesser extent, appears with the content that appears to us on the phone. We get sucked into it. And as we do so, we have no idea what's going on around us. So this is the first thing that we need to be aware of. How unaware we are when we are using the phone. The best way to do it is to simply look at other people. As you are in the train or in any place where other people are just sitting there, everybody just busy with their own phone, just pay attention to the fact that nobody has a single clue what is going on around them. They sort of turn into zombies. All of us do. When we are too much engaged with our phone, we suddenly have a sort of vacant, zombie-like appearance in our eyes. We sort of go to this trance-like state where we mindlessly do that, having no idea what's going on around us. This is exactly the opposite of what we want to achieve when we choose a life of awareness. So that is the first thing to realize, that when we are too much engaged with our phone, we lose contact of where we are. That's not the way to live. Secondly, we can ask ourselves, what kind of moment are we creating for ourselves when we are engaged with the phone? Is this a memorable moment? After all, isn't the purpose of life to be memorable? Or otherwise said, isn't it better to have, looking back upon your life, a life full of memories, as opposed to a life where you have no idea what's happened? The years simply flew by. Day after day flies by. No idea, what have we done? What have I done? No memories. What have I done a week ago? I have no idea. The day just fly by. This is a forgettable life. Forgettable life is composed of forgettable moments. And a memorable life is composed of memorable moments. So when we are sitting here engaged with our phone, is this a memorable moment? What do you think? And if we spend our entire free time, every moment we have a free moment, if we compulsively take the phone out of the pocket and engage in it, what kind of life are we creating for ourselves? Is it going to be a memorable life? Think. Consider. Yeah, that's right. Another aspect to consider is the nature of what we do with the phone. There are basically two types of things that we can do with the phone. I will call it active and passive. Active is when we are creating something, and passive is when we are consuming something. For example, if we are sending a text, we are being active. If we are reading an Instagram post, then we are being passive. It is mostly the passive part that is creating us the difficulties. Because when we are doing something active, now, considering the active part, is what we are doing when we are being active, where we are inputting stuff that goes into the world, to somebody else, or into the entire world, to the internet. Is it positive or negative, this input that we are injecting? An example of something active is, yesterday I went to this restaurant and it was absolutely terrible, the waitress was nasty. Yeah, that is negative. Positive is the opposite, giving a positive review for something, sending a positive message. So this is one aspect to consider about our use. Is the active use positive or negative? More important than that, our passive use. I hope that it is not new to anybody viewing this, that as we consume negative content, we introduce negativity into our mind. And as we consume positive content of any kind, we introduce positivity into ourselves. More and more and more negativity coming in means that more and more and more negativity is in ourselves, and we become more negative people. And the opposite occurs with positive things. So consider also, is the nature of the things that you normally consume positive or negative? And be fully aware that it has an effect on you. Another aspect that we may consider, which relates more than the phone, but being online in general. Look, I know you cannot look around, but I'm looking around. It's beautiful here. It's peaceful. The birds are singing. The trees are green. It's fantastic. Perfect. Wonderful. Sky are blue. The clouds are being the amazing things that they are. And yet in the same time, nasty, crappy things are happening in the world. Most of our lives, if we simply look at them through our senses, are wonderful. Many of us live in affluent countries. Disasters, famine, hunger, all kinds of war, violence are not part of our daily experience. We consume them. We know that they exist because we get it in the news all the time. They affect our perception of reality. We live in a world that is in a way a made-up world, because the actual world is what you are experiencing right moment. I'm sitting here and it's beautiful. That is my reality. That is what there is now. Look at this beauty all around me. This beautiful forest, this peaceful place. This is my experience right now. In the same time, there is a virus going around in the world, and many people are dying. I cannot do anything about that. As we continuously expose ourselves to all the negativity in the world, we are destroying what might be a beautiful life experience. For nothing. For we can do nothing about any of these things. So I would definitely recommend for people to generally take a break from online and just experience what is around you. Go to the forest, go to the park, go to the beach, go to the mountains. That is a subject for another talk. So we covered some basic aspects of looking at what happens to us when we are with the phone, how we lose our awareness, how we are busy creating regrettable moments, forgettable moments that will ultimately lead us to a forgetful life. Life that we have no idea where it went. But more than that, they affect our creativity. Actually, they suck it out of us. Creativity means only one thing, that in our heads, original new thoughts come to us. That's what it means to be creative. You cannot be creative if the same old thoughts are going around. When we learn to meditate, one of the first things that we examine is whether the thoughts in our head are repetitive or original. And most people find that the vast majority of thoughts are completely repetitive. You had them before and you are going to have them many times again, today and the next couple of days. You need to think clearly. The need to think is there. If that need is filled by repetitive, boring thoughts, you are not happy. We also have the need for novelty within us. We all have it. We want new things. Human beings are motivated so strongly by the search of novelty. We get bored easily and we are thrill seekers. So one of the reasons that we get so sucked into the phone and are in the habit of picking it up at every moment is because what is going on in our heads is not so interesting. And we don't have original, insightful thoughts. At least when we look at the phone, something new is coming there. As we practice meditation, at a certain stage, we sort of have enough of it. We observe our thoughts, we observe our minds, and we see our repetitive, boring thoughts, and we say to ourselves, why am I doing this? What is the point of this? And then something happens within us, and these boring, repetitive thoughts gradually fade away, and a mental vacuum is created. It is the nature of vacuums to fill, and so they get filled with more insightful, original thoughts. So to be insightful, to be original, that is the cure to having all this boring repetitivity in your head. And when we try to get rid of it by always filling every moment with content passively, we get our dose of novelty this way, and we inhibit ourselves from fully expressing our own creative progress. Let's make a little thought exercise, and then we'll proceed with the actual techniques or recommendations for how to live happily with the phone. So the last exercise is thinking the following thought experiment. We all like to watch movies on Netflix and other platforms, and we spend a lot of our free time doing that. Fine. But consider the following. Every such show needed to be written by a person. Somebody had to come up with the idea for the show and write the script, invent the plot, think about which characters they should have, how they should be like, etc. This person, was this person busy with his phone watching Netflix while he's doing that? Surely not. Imagine this person now sitting there doing that. What is he doing? He may be writing, typing, or simply walking around thinking, composing, inventing, thinking, plotting. He is entertaining himself. It takes many hours, many days, perhaps even weeks to come up with a plot for a show or a movie. And the person who was doing that was basically playing a movie in his own head, because he has a talent for it, obviously. Now suppose you had a talent for that as well, which you may have. Isn't it better to spend your time simply sitting in your chair, inventing shows in your own hand, being creative? Creating a show using the most powerful piece of technology ever invented, your brain, which has the capacity to simulate everything you want. Isn't that a better way to spend time if you want to consume shows than to consume them passively, but to consume them actively by inventing them yourself? Now, not everybody can do it. I cannot do it because I don't have such an imagination. But I'm sure many people who watch this video can. And if you don't allow yourself the time to do it, you will never discover your own creative thing. It is out of these moments of boredom when you don't know what to do, and you're sitting there and you practice meditation and your boring thoughts are gradually going away. You have nothing particular to do, no stress. Suddenly insight comes. It will not come if you are busy with the phone. So that's enough discussion. Now going to the techniques. Number one, and the most important, the phone is a tool. Use it as a tool, which means do not pick it up compulsively and mindlessly. When you pick up your phone, know why you are picking up your phone. Do what you need to do and put it down. And for those who practice meditation, you will be immediately aware that that's exactly what you do with your mind. If you need to think about something practically. Think about it, be finished with it, and let it go. Your mind is but a tool to be used. When you don't need it, let it go. Don't pick it up. Thoughts will come, don't pick them up. The same with the phone. All kinds of attention-grabbing things will come up to your phone. You don't have to pick it up. When you pick up the phone, know why you're doing it, do it, and put it down. It's the most important thing. The second recommendation is to simply remain aware while you are using the phone. Avoid getting yourself into that zombie trance. And the easiest way to do it is by remaining aware of your breath, of course. Just about the answer to every question starts with be aware of your breath. That solves it. But in this case too, be aware of your breath. When you're aware of your breath, at the same time as you're using your phone, you will not be sucked into the zombie state. But it is difficult because it tends to suck you, so you have to be quite diligent in your awareness. To help you with that, try to maintain a sense of situational awareness, which means listen. As you are engaged with the phone, keep your ears open to what's going on around you. Also, you fix your attention on your hearing, as you do when you are meditating. Occasionally lift your head and look around you. Every 20 seconds or so, when you are busy with your phone, remember to lift your hand, look around you. Make people who see you understand there is no zombie sitting here, but somebody who is fully aware. Yes, he is doing something on his phone, but he is not sucked in. He is aware. He knows what's going on. That's the kind of person you want to be? Or do you want to be the person who's sitting there and 20 gorillas can dance in front of him and he will not notice? Which one of these do you want to be? So pick it up, know why you pick it up, use it and put it down. As you use it, be aware of your breath, maintain your situational awareness, and finally be mindful of how you use it around your children, because they take after your example. Many parents complain and are so worried about how much their children are busy with the phone and how to get the children out of the phone. What about you? Try to set a good example to your children. I've seen it more than once. It's a pitiful sight. A family is sitting to dinner. 2 parents, 2 children. Happily talking, eating. At a certain point, there is suddenly a silence, a pause. The children are busy doing with their own mind. The parents jump upon this opportunity. Immediately, they grab onto the phone and suddenly they are sucked into the phone. Both parents, simultaneously. After a few moments, the children get out of whatever they were doing that distracted them and suddenly look around and discover that their parents are gone. A few moments ago they had living, talking, reacting people, and these have been turned into zombies. The children are looking to the right, looking to the left, looking very perplexed. I've seen this. Is this what you want? Just look around you. So that's the last tip. Just look at other people when they are with their phone and ask yourself, is this how you like to be? So the actual techniques are very simple and can be summed up in 2 words, as always. Be aware. Whatever you do, be aware. I'm not going to tell you you should not use your phone, get rid of the phone, don't do this, don't do that, nothing of that. Do what you like. But whatever you do, try to be aware. Well, I think that is sufficient for now. And I hope you found this useful. Take care.